I'd love to chat about social media. That's how I first saw you. That's how Zach first saw you, and why we eventually got to where we are today in this conversation. I saw you, I think for the first time, it must have been maybe February when I first downloaded TikTok. I get on TikTok and see someone doing something different. I've never seen anyone do something like this, because when I first downloaded TikTok, it was the traditional dancing and comedy. And, I'm thinking, what is this app? And then I see you, and you are talking about mental health to a generation that I love. This generation. It's typically Gen Z that is on the app, and you are talking about it in such a way that's relatable and empowering. And I had never seen anything like that on this app. On Instagram, there are people that post and they provide captions and they're insightful. This was a whole new interactive way, and it really blew my mind and exposed me to what the possibilities were. So I'd love for you to chat about when and why you started posting on social media.
I think it's all my husband's fault, actually. When I had children and I couldn't manage, I was working part-time in the NHS, part-time private practice. And at that point I had two of the three children, and I couldn't do it all. I realized I couldn't do it all. So I started to focus on the private practice, which I could work around the children. And I never realized it would happen, because it's a slightly different kind of situation. When I was in the NHS, I was working in hospitals and things like that. So in the private practice, I had lots of people coming to me who were struggling with different emotional experiences, but they didn't necessarily need long-term therapy. So a significant part of therapy is educational. So you teach people about their emotions, how the mind works, how they can influence their mood and how they feel and stuff like that. And for a lot of these young people, I realized once they had that education, they were ready to fly. Like, they were ready to go, and saying things to me like, how has no one taught me this before? Like, this is simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's changing my life. Why have they not taught me this at school? And I think my husband probably got annoyed with me just chirping on about it all the time, saying they should teach this stuff in school. And he said, well, why don't you just, try and make it available? Why don't you put something on YouTube or something? And so we started thinking about doing that. And in the meantime, he discovered TikTok. And we loved the app. We thought it was so much fun, all the dancing and the comedy, and it was a really kind of light-hearted and really addictive kind of process of seeing all these really fun things. And he said, well, why don't you try and put something on there? And two things held me back initially. One was the idea of trying to fit anything educational into 60 seconds. And the other was the idea of just being trolled out of there and laughed off, So it was the idea that we could just, if it all went, wrong and everyone hated it, that we could just delete the account and that would, pretend it never happened. But yeah, he persuaded, and I couldn't even watch it back. The first couple of videos, I couldn't even watch them back. I just handed it over and he pressed the button and I just pretended it wasn't happening. And about, I don't know, 10 videos in or something, it just started to kind of grow and people were responding really positively. So yeah, and then fast forward, here we are.
Wow.